Welcome everybody to another edition of Make a Believer Out of Me. I'm Jim Eliason with the San Diego Coalition of Reason. My co-host here is Sean Taylor. He's with the Secular Humanist Fellowship of San Diego. Sean and I are non-believers, but the idea behind the show is to have people on to discuss all kinds of different worldviews and beliefs, and to look at the ideas and evidences that people have for those beliefs. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We actually have another non-believer on. Alex Bonnet is with us this afternoon. And Alex came to non-belief in a very interesting way. So we wanted to talk to him a little bit about where he came from and how he got to where he is today. Alex, thanks very much for coming on.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here on your show.
If you can tell us first, Alex, well, we'll get into what you do now a little bit later with your group, but if you could just tell us how you grew up religiously from childhood.
Okay. Say that as a child I was probably more of a secular, kind of a deistic, agnostic family. Just parents kind of believed that there was something out there, but we were really turned off by organized religion, so it really wasn't something that we dealt with. I'd say about the time I was 14 years old, not having had the advantage of a humanist society or an atheist group or something to give that support, and just being constantly dogged down throughout the years by religion, you finally get to a point of, well, if I can't beat them, I'm going to join them. So at 14, I joined up with the Mormons, got baptized, and I am now an apostate Mormon.
Hell of a choice.
Where were you living?
I was living at the time in Round Rock, Texas. That's just north of Austin.
Oh, wow.
And the thing, I guess, why I chose the Mormons was they're a really fun group with kids. I mean, they have the Boy Scouts, they have the basketball and the dances. They do church dances. They're not like Baptists. They actually think dancing's okay. They just really focus a lot on youth. And so for me, I guess that's what just appealed to me, is I had so much fun with them. We were having sleepovers and swim meets and everything. So, it was great until I got into my freshman year of high school and had to take seminary. For those who aren't familiar, Mormon seminary consists of getting up early before class 5 days a week for the entire 4 years of your high school. Wow. For about a 45-minute to an hour of study of scripture study. Of course, in the Mormon faith you have the Old Testament, New Testament, then you have the Book of Mormon, and then you have the Pearl of Great Price and Doctrine and Covenants. So you have to dedicate 1 year to each. Wow. And I did a year of that, and well, I just started seeing the other side of them. They subjugate women a lot. I found that very disturbing. My mother was a professor. Woman. Yeah, a woman. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah.
You can just end it right there.
Right.
It's good enough.
Yeah. But being a director of a nursing program and working on her PhD and all, and to think that here she could come into this church and she would be treated like a kid. She wouldn't have priesthood authority or anything, despite whatever she accomplishes, and that just didn't sound right. So that just a whole lot of other things, their definition of hell, and just how basically if you don't do everything exactly the way they tell you, you're going. Well, they have kind of a different definition of hell, I guess, but and that they have lower levels of heaven, and you just don't get into the higher level. And so although it's better than here, it's still not what you could have gotten into had you really behaved or whatever. And so they were constantly using the fear factor, the threat of fear. So I got out of that, and I was fine. I kind of went back to being more of a free thinker until I went to a Baptist university. And that's when I got involved with the Christianity, with I got baptized Baptist, and really went into it. But then the whole political thing really kind of turned me off. But I continued to believe. I continued to consider myself a Christian all the way up until about 2 years ago, almost to the day.
Wait, did you go on your mission?
No, never did do the mission. No.
Oh, okay. So straight out of high school, you were kind of losing your faith in
the
On the
Mormon
Mormon side.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Mormon side, right? But about that time, I was finding the faith in Christianity. It was a little easier pill to swallow. Basically, accept Christ as your Lord and Savior, and you can get forgiven of your sins, and you should be okay. Unless, of course, if you vote for the wrong party or something, that's unforgivable.
Oh, that's the one unforgivable sin.
Right.
Vote Democrat, right?
I know. Denying the Holy Spirit.
It's written in code into the Bible.
Exactly.
I read it in Da Vinci.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think even in Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, there's some reference to that.
Dan Brown makes very clear that.
Right, yes, absolutely.
So just a couple years ago, congrats.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. I have felt very welcome, in fact. More welcome in the atheist community than I ever felt in a church.
You're actually now here in the celestial kingdom, brother.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I don't think it gets much better than this.
So you had a very interesting story, though, how you ended up deconverting, though. So I'd like to hear about that story.
Absolutely. What can I say? We all remember 2012 and the fiasco, the political campaign that we had.
And you being from Texas, of course.
My being from Texas.
So you may have heard about it a little more than we did here.
Oh yes, ad nauseum.
Well, wait, we heard about it ad nauseum, so it must.
We were past ad nauseum.
How bad it must
I don't know
be.
I could describe it for you, but I don't want to repulse you. The view.
You said Texas. Enough said.
Yeah, that's said, right. Yeah, exactly. So. It was really, found it very disturbing that, we have a president now that's got a contraception mandate out there where, women are finally going to get the birth control they need free of charge, just through their insurance. It's an excellent thing. Nobody's forcing women to use birth control. Now the Catholic Church is coming in and saying, no, this is wrong. This is being imposed upon us. How do you impose? Nobody's telling them they have to use it. But
right.
At any rate, that really bothered me. I was just the Catholic Church, and then the Protestants joined on board because some of us may remember as children that the two fought like cats and dogs, but now they love each other.
Right.
That really turned me off, not just the contraceptive mandate, abortion, same-sex marriage, other things that they complain are being forced against them. And it's like, who said you have to go to a same-sex wedding if you don't want to? You don't have to send them a gift. You don't have to invite them over. You don't have to go over to their house. It's not being forced against you.
Right.
So I found that very disturbing, and so I guess basically when I was really starting to question, what these people were saying, these pastors were coming on television, and these, the governor of Texas, Rick Perry, of course.
Fine fellow,
right? Yes.
Good man.
Good man, I know. And that when God told him to run for president, and he
makes sense.
Yeah, did that
God didn't tell him he was going to lose the primary.
Right. Yeah.
Well, he works in mysterious ways.
He does. Because he also told Michelle Bachmann,
right.
And I think they had two of the worst campaigns possible.
I don't remember him telling Obama that he should run.
No, I don't think Obama ever made that claim. No, Obama's always been low-key about his faith. He's just out there to...
I wonder why.
This must not be a very impressive God that they worship.
I guess not, right?
If Obama can beat you.
Yeah. And the truth is, this was the Republicans' election to win, I think. But
so you saw the religiosity in the politics.
Exactly. Yes, and that just really I found it revolting. I've always believed in the separation of church and state, and even as a theist, even as a believer, I always thought that church should have no role in in politics and in legislation. We can't be drafting legislation based on religious principles, because what if it doesn't fit everybody? And it doesn't fit everybody.
Right.
And there are many believers who feel that way too, because they understand what a slippery slope that can be. If it's not your particular brand of Christianity that wins in the end, then you end up being persecuted as well.
Absolutely.
It's just very interesting to hear somebody who came to non-belief. Most people come to non-belief through studying religion or going to church, or from just because they're involved in religion. And so it's very interesting to hear about somebody who came to it because of the political process. It says a lot about how religious the political process in this country has become.
Exactly. And we really found out this time in 2012 just how I think they see themselves being threatened. They're in this death throw position right now. All of
One can only hope.
Right. All these states that used to have dry counties that are now voting wet, or states that had no liquor sales on Sunday are now allowing. I think Indiana's the only holdout there.
Well, I'm against dogmatic beliefs, but I'm against liquor.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We'll go on.
All right, you got me there. Well, and it's funny how you brought up the fact that I didn't come to atheism via studying the scripture, because, I would study the scripture on my own, but I didn't go to church because Christians normally, like one or two, they're okay, but you put them in a church, they can really annoy the hell out of you. So it was always difficult. I would go to church with my mother sometimes. I'd go up to Las Cruces, New Mexico, and visit her, and we'd go to church on Sunday and all, and that would be okay, but then, as soon as the service was over, it's like, okay, let's go somewhere and get a beer or a glass of wine or something, because, I've had enough of my, hot air.
You actually sent a thank you letter to at least one of the representatives of the great state of Texas.
I did to John Cornyn, one of our senators, Cornyn, and also, to Kurt Cameron also.
What did you say in those letters?
I wish I had brought a copy.
I wish you had too.
I know.
Just paraphrase for us.
Paraphrasing, yes.
We'll get that posted.
We'll have that posted.
I will. Yes. I'll have to get that up. But basically, to both of them, that they really helped me by showing the ridiculously absurd views that are completely unsubstantiated in any way, form, or fashion, and by the repulsive, vile terms that and accusations that they're making about the Democratic Party. That thank you, because I now am no longer a believer.
And no responses?
No, surprisingly, no.
That's
Yeah. Now, of course, whenever with Cornyn, anytime I do send him letters saying that he needs to reverse his stance on abortion, he does respond to those.
Does he?
Yeah, he says he's still pro-life and all that. And so, pro-life.
Well, we're pro-life too, but
yeah. Well, they're pro-life up until the moment of birth. And
yeah.
Right. and then F them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
See,
exactly.
we're pretty much pro-life after birth.
Exactly. That's kind of how I am too.
Kind of a little bit before too.
A little bit before as well, but definitely after. Definitely after.
Right.
Once able to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm kind of pro not having it suffer.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Human or not.
Right.
Well, that doesn't apply in your case to adults so much.
Well,
you'll be the cause of suffering from it.
Okay, look. Unless they need to suffer. Come on.
Let's face it.
It says it here somewhere. I'm pretty sure that kid needed to suffer. It says it in there somewhere.
Yeah. Maybe he misbehaved.
Yeah.
So you are now involved with the El Paso Atheist group.
That is correct. If I can kind of get a bit more clarity on my deconversion or what happened. is that I was sent to do some business in Lexington, Kentucky, which is a great place if you're questioning too. Probably even
It's
more
nothing
so
to
than
sneeze at. I've been to Lexington.
Yeah. And I came across a copy of the USA Today, and the Freedom from Religion Foundation had put out a full-page ad stating that it is now time to quit the Catholic Church. Of course, I'm not Catholic, but I read the letter, and it still just resounded very heavily with me. It was like, finally, I am reading something that makes sense. And in the USA Today, of all.
Wow. Yeah.
I don't know, well, that's a different story, I guess. But no, but it just basically where Anne Laurie Gaylor came out and just said, look, Obama tried to work with the religion, with the religious right on this as far as the contraceptive mandate, and they refused. They won't budge. Look, these people are responsible for pedophilia, mass pedophilia, and trying to sweep it under a rug, trying to tell us how to run our government. It's time to vote with your feet and get out. It's time to walk out of the church. And she said, life begins with excommunication. Now here I am, a believer in God, that there is something out there. Even though I knew I wasn't a good Christian, I always felt bad about that. I always felt guilty because I didn't go to church. I felt that, maybe I'm going to hell because maybe I haven't truly accepted Christ, because I didn't become this new creature, so to speak.
Yeah, well, religion is real good at guilt.
It is, yes, and I had all that guilt for a long time, many years, and always wondering, am I worshiping the right way, or am I believing the right things, or what? But when I read that letter, that article, then I got into Lexington. I got on the internet and I looked up the ffrf.org and their website.
Freedom from Religion, yeah.
Right. And I just started reading. And of course, they're all promoting positive atheism. And I'm like, how could anybody do that? I just thought, whoa, because I come from a place where if you call yourself an atheist, you might as well say that
you didn't have to sacrifice a baby.
Right, exactly. That
only if you're going to eat it.
Well, they're better fresh.
Yeah, well, true.
Fresh, yes, and especially with some.
But not true, by the way. Wait, no, we don't do it.
really, we're joking. Okay.
We're against it.
Yeah, we are. The whole pro-life, when
Yes,
after they're born,
As our cameraman ran into the distance.
Right. No.
Our camera person.
So I'm over here reading this, I'm hearing all these politicians, and I'm thinking in my head, no, but I've got to be right. I've got to be right in my beliefs that as long as you're good, as long as you believe in God, you're going to heaven. I used to believe that, you're going to have to be a great place, and you're not going to go to hell. Nobody's going to hell unless if maybe you're Hitler or Osama bin Laden, because of course they're going to hell. You just assume. And
unless they have a conversion on the deathbed.
Right. Which
that gets them off the hook for everything.
Right. So I'm thinking this, but after reading all of this logic, all of this rational logic that you'll never find in any church except maybe the UU, and even then depends on who you talk to. It hit me one moment. It's like, Alex, your unsubstantiated belief in the afterlife may not be true. You may want it to be true. You may hope it's true. A lot of people will say, well, it doesn't matter what's true or not, it's what works for you. But no, that moment it hit me. This may possibly not be true. So the truth may be something else. What works for me is finding out what that truth is.
Good for you.
Good for you, yeah.
I would say that's when the cognitive dissonance just went away, disappeared.
Right. Wow.
So from then, it's just been watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was still traveling a lot back then, so I wasn't able to do much in El Paso.
YouTube videos of what?
Christina Redd, Thunderfoot, The Atheist Experience,
Okay.
Richard Dawkins.
So hearing what atheists are saying.
Exactly, and I wanted to give the other side the benefit of the doubt. Let's look at the Christian websites, but and I would go to the Christian websites, the apologetics. I would go to the apologetics. So I want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt here.
Right.
Just because one's making sense, doesn't mean the others may not also make sense.
Sure.
But fortunately, it was very
One-sided.
It was very one-sided. The atheists made sense. The apologetics just put up the weakest possible arguments, and so from there, from being agnostic to saying, well, if there were a God, he would somehow make himself known, but he hasn't. So I'm going to have to go with probably does not exist, and I've just kept going up the scale. And
how did that feel for you?
Oh, in the beginning I cried. In the beginning I felt terrible. It was like, you mean so I'm not going to heaven? What is this? I mean, why live? I felt like
been living with this idea your whole life.
Yes, all this time, and that I would have a heaven to go to, that there was an afterlife, that there was a purpose, that we were put here for a reason or something, and then all of a sudden to realize, no, not necessarily. In fact, probably not.
How long did you go through that of the no purpose, no, I'm not going to get to heaven, what reason is there to live? How long do you think that
phase lasted?
Probably, actually, pretty quickly. I would say maybe just a few weeks. And I have to thank people like Christina Redd, Gets Chris, and the Atheist Experience, because they kind of put it into perspective what purpose we do have. That just because there's no purpose to life doesn't mean there's no purpose in life.
Right.
We actually have a lot of purpose. We have a lot to do, and especially since this is the only life that we have.
Right.
I do, of course, believe in the legacy that we leave behind. I look at our founding fathers creating this secular nation in a time when, coming from Europe, everybody had a religious government. It was the Catholic Church or the Protestant Church or the Calvinist, or somebody had to play, had their hand in play. And
the irony is, I mean, they still do for the most part, and a lot of difficult to prove, obviously, but everyone kind of seems to assume the same thing, that the irony is our secular constitution, our getting it right, our creating our government the right way of separating that church and state, ended up making us
more religious.
Yeah, such a fervently, unnecessarily religious country, despite our wealth, and we've gone the opposite way, and we've just screwed that up so much. The entire principle of that. Whereas everyone else, it's just part of taxes. Yeah, there's that church there, and the church doesn't have to do anything to stay alive because government's paying for it. Whereas here, it all became capitalistic. All of our churches. Now we've got sports arenas.
It's true that government screws up everything that it can get its hands on. So that's why the religions of the
That's
world.
why I vote Republican.
So this only happened very recently for you. It's only been a couple of years. How did you feel as you went through that second stage where you were getting over the idea that you weren't going to heaven and that there was no purpose in life, and once you started realizing that there could be a purpose in life, did that must have opened up whole new horizons for you?
It really did. It really did. I'll say I became happy. It was like after the storm, it was the calm and the quiet, and I became happy to realize I don't have to worry about hell. I don't have to worry about guilt guilt that some God is going to smite me or something, to use some old
for something that you're not sure what it is.
Right.
Did I really understand this correctly? Is it this or is it that?
Exactly. Yes. So many different
that
versions.
thought slipped through my head. Is that really going to send me to hell?
Exactly. Yes. Just to realize, no, I can live my life the way that I see fit. Obviously, there are consequences to all of our actions. We do have laws, we have conscience, we have, you feel guilty about things, but I know I'm not going to hell. I know I could fail to leave the legacy that I would like to leave.
You may have just explained it, but did you find that there is still purpose to life? And for you, what is it in a nutshell?
There is absolutely lots of purpose to life. I'm still trying to find exactly what mine is, to be honest. I'm still not quite, I guess.
I think you may have just explained it, by the way.
I think it's different for everybody, too. I mean, everybody has to find their own purpose for life.
Mine is making Jim happy.
Oh, that's good. I can tell you're doing
to which he has failed miserably so far.
I've just got no urge to succeed in my purpose. I just want you to know that is mine.
You just haven't prayed to the right God for enough guidance.
It's true.
So you then started getting involved with the group in El Paso?
That is correct. While I was still traveling, I realized, and think again, Christina Rad, she's encouraged people who are just deconverting to get active, to get out there and let their voice be heard. And she said, look, she does, of course, the vlogs, and she's very good at them. I was a little uncomfortable with that. But she said, you can also do a regular blog, you can do a website, you can do a Facebook page. And it's like, Facebook page, that's what I'm going to do. So I started, my Facebook page is Border Skeptic. That is because I'm a skeptic and I live on the border with Mexico. Kind of simple there.
And when you move here, it'll still be good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. So, okay, now
no pressure.
I know. To all my friends in El Paso,
he's not leaving.
We'll talk to you about that. May have to talk to a little bit here.
Just built a community, and now you've lost it.
I know. I just got excommunicated.
Atheists are big on that.
I know. Since most of us have been excommunicated.
Yeah.
On the plus side, all of you are welcome here as well.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Plenty of room. Well, it's just expensive, that's all. But
yeah.
So I knew that my business, my work situation was going to change at the beginning of 2013, and I was going to be spending a lot more time at home, which I was excited about. I was glad for that. Sure. And so I immediately started Googling phrases like, atheism in El Paso, atheist groups in El Paso, and really the only thing that showed up was the Unitarian Universalist community. So I looked them up and saw what they were about and all that, and said, okay, well, I'll go attend. So I went and attended, and it was good. And the vice president of their community is an atheist, Joe Knapka, and Knapka, I'm sorry.
Did you just out somebody?
No.
He's good. He's already out?
Yeah. He's out. Oh, he's been out. Yeah, a long time.
Good for you, Joe.
Yes. Shout out to you, to Oral and Lux, and to many other people whose names shall be mentioned briefly, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So long as they don't mind.
No,
we don't mind if they don't.
No. So, anyway, he said he was starting an atheist, agnostic, secular humanist group, and when we'd be meeting, and so I kind of said, I want to join that group, and he said yes, and so we called it Secular El Paso. It mainly consisted of just discussing a topic one evening every 2 weeks, and that was good, and but we would always meet at somebody's house, and it was just a good way to kind of have a little fellowship among a very tight-knit community. But then I started looking at meetups in other cities and stuff, and then all of a sudden I saw that there was a meetup for El Paso Atheists, and that was started by a man, owner of Success Realty in El Paso, Texas, Angel Ochoa. Shout out to Angel.
Nice work, Angel.
Yeah, great work. He started a meetup and I attended along with 2 other people. We started out as 4 people, I believe 4 or 5.
So he's the angel of
He's
El
the
Paso
angel of your
Atheists.
Right, yes. And his wife, her name is Angelica. So you've got
Ridiculous.
both, yes.
Ridiculous.
Both atheists.
That's almost too much to be coincidence.
Yeah.
I know. Maybe there is divine design.
You can't deny it.
Evidence of intelligent design.
It's possible the pagans are right.
I'm
Maybe,
sorry, El Paso atheists, but angels are real at least.
Yeah, we got 2 of you, so. But at any rate, so I started lending support whenever I could, just attended all of the meetings that we had, continued with the secular group too, which is kind of falling to the wayside. I think a lot of them are kind of going on to the atheist group. We also have a group in El Paso was called Join Us for Justice. It was founded by David and Gerald Marcus. They're atheist Jews, I guess. David, I think, considers himself more agnostic, but still very secular. But they formed Join Us for Justice, which is now the El Paso chapter of the Americans United for Separation of Church and State.
Oh, good.
So a very awesome group. And I mean, we've had in Ellery Shemp. Of course, he's the one who got God out of the public schools. You know, he came and spoke, and he brought up a very good point, by the way. Most of us have come to the conclusion that, you know, the Bible is basically a book of fairy tales, at least as
Some
written.
pretty nasty fairy
Some pretty nasty ones too.
Yeah.
And, you know, believe me, when you look at the creation myth and the story of the walking, talking snake, and you think, well, that could not exist, you know. But then you see Glenn Beck and Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachman, and you realize, oh, they do fucking exist.
Well, at least the talking donkeys.
Yeah.
The talking asses.
So what position do you have now currently with that group?
Well, with El Paso Atheists, I am the vice president. The co-organizer is the technical term that we use. I'm the co-organizer. I'm also one of the site administrators for the El Paso Atheists website. Well, the website and the Facebook page, really, because we have the El Paso Atheists Facebook page. And I just checked before coming in today, and I think we're up to just under 1,000 likes on that.
Oh, excellent.
Thank you. And our El Paso meetup, our El Paso Atheist meetup, we now have 121
Oh, that's
atheists
great.
signed in.
Fantastic.
That's great.
So we're shooting.
What do we have? A little over 2,000? A little over 2,000.
somewhere
You're doing good.
Considering y'all been
That was cold.
It's San Diego.
It's San Diego. Come on, really.
You're closer to him, you slap him.
Yeah.
No.
I don't have the
know.
energy.
I know.
And I'll be doing it later.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
He just got excited there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're on air. My wife is sitting here. I already told people that you're my purpose for
It's an open marriage.
You mentioned Christina Rad. I don't know if she's told this story. It's a great story though, on her channel. She does great stuff. Anyways, I was talking to her at the Free Thought Convention just up here in Orange County.
Oh, nice.
And she was talking, because she came up there to speak at that convention, and she was talking about how she got stopped at airport security again and had to get pulled in for a second and third interview. And every time she travels over here to, you know, she comes to a lot of the conventions in America.
I know.
To speak at a lot of them. And every single time she comes over here, they just fly her out here by herself. They don't, they don't fly her whole family out. Actually, I'm not sure if she has any kids, but I know she's married. She's got a husband. Mm-hmm. She comes out here by herself though, and she's a very cute girl with big hair and exciting clothes. And anyways, so she's coming over here, and every single time she gets stopped, and they say, why is it that you're coming over here? She said, well, I'm going to a convention. I'm speaking at a convention. Why do they have you speaking at this convention? Well, I make videos. She just she doesn't want to get into pissing off some officer by saying she's an atheist,
Mm-hmm.
and they go, "Are you naked in these videos?" Oh, come on. every single time. Sorry, Christina, if you didn't want that story told, but it was a hilarious story, I thought.
I almost think that she did put it on. I almost think on one of her vlogs she did.
It was really funny, at least the way she told it. But it's funny, you telling your story. I had a similar story from a different direction. I, myself, have never been a believer. My parents, growing up, not much was said about religion. Now, I happen to grow up mainly in Orange County, which is very religious. It's kind of California's Texas.
Oh, wow.
It's very Republican, white, religious.
Kind of like Austin is, Texas is California.
Yeah, exactly.
If we could swap Orange County for Austin, everybody would be happy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Texas needs at least Austin.
Yeah,
leave it.
Everybody here would be happy. We would just throw in the towel.
Leave them. So many.
I don't see the downside. Everybody here would be happy. Everybody in Austin would be happy.
But Texas could get worse.
Right. Yeah, just the rest of those of us who live in the outline.
Texas could almost turn into Alaska.
Oh God, you're right.
So, religion was just never really brought up. I mean, if religion came up, my parents kind of giggled at it, but like atheism, that was never said. The horrible A word, that was really never said. But my parents were not religious. They made quips about religious people just as they would against some other nut. Not that all religious people are nuts, but just obviously when some religious nut would come on, and they'd make fun of them just as they would of any other nut. But we went to a Lutheran preschool because it was free and it was right down the street from the house. And I do remember one thing from there. We usually just color books, and it has some Bible story intertwined in it. And the sisters there would just tell you the stories. We would sit there and color. And one day it was Noah's Ark, and this is the day I remember, is we were coloring Noah's Ark, and they were telling us the story of Noah's Ark. And I'm not sure at that age what it was that tipped me off, but something about it smelled fishy. And maybe it was all the dead fish because the salt water and the fresh water came combined, I guess. But it's
different layers.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So, anyways, something seemed ridiculous, but they weren't telling the story as though it was a fairy tale or as though it was ridiculous. They were telling, like, historically speaking, this is what happened. And that struck me as strange. And so I asked them, surely you don't mean, what about the dinosaurs? I don't know what it was, but something I asked them, and their response was not an answer to my question. Their response was a threat of hell. If you don't believe this, you're going to go to hell. That's a weird thing to say to a kid, and you didn't answer my question. And it wasn't that I realized that religion was nonsense at that point, but I realized that adults are capable of being ridiculous and foolish and so on and so forth.
And so at a very early age.
I did. So that, I thank religion for that. But I then, in high school, I worked for a Christian organization and ended up traveling with them and listening to sermons at Christian churches all over the place, especially around town. And I did the sleepovers at the Christian churches. But also my best friend, still a very close friend of mine. The only reason he's probably not my best friend is because he lives too far away. But he's still Mormon, and his family's Mormon, and he was going to seminary school, as you said, before class in high school. And he was my ride to school freshman year. So I ended up going all through high school, and I went to seminary school.
Wow.
Granted, half the time I just did my homework that was already supposed to be due. But the other half of the time, I did.
Nothing's changed much, by the way.
Yeah, no, I still don't do homework. When my son needs help, no, I don't do homework. No, but yeah, I went through the Book of Mormon and I remember finding out later when I became more interested in religion. how different the Mormon seminary school is from any other seminary school.
Oh yeah.
Because the seminary school with the LDS is just an indoctrination process.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's not like you're going to seminary school with Catholics or at any university where you're actually learning truly how this came about. You know, where it came from, and you know what some of these things don't mean, do mean, may mean. You know, what we know, what we don't know about it. It was still just an indoctrination process. So I certainly had my disinterest there. But as an adult, I realized that I had a bit of an activist nature in me. And I did want to, I saw a lot of ills in the world, and I realized so much was so not acceptable, and I wanted to do something. And what do? There's so much out there, and so I started looking at different things. And one constant that I could not escape was religion. If the ill was not directly a result from religion was making it worse. Even when they were, you know, like the Catholic Church prides themselves in getting in there to help the problem, they were in fact at minimum sustaining it.
Oh yeah.
Quite often making it worse.
Yeah.
And often disguised because it was they were making it worse for a different reason.
Right.
And so I realized what I was interested in was in fact religion, and that's what I wanted to study, and that's what I wanted to combat. I had no desire to be a part of a church. I didn't have that background necessarily. You know, I didn't need to still be a part of that every Sunday, holding hands and chanting, which I get. Some people need, some people love. We have the atheist church now as
Sunday Assembly.
Sunday Assembly, yeah, and a lot of people love it, and I support it. That's great for those people. It's not a huge interest of my own. That's to say nothing against it.
Right.
It's just not a desire that I have. It's not something that's been instilled in me. What I did realize though is growing up in this country. So again, the political thing, and that's where I come back to your story, which relates so much to mine, is as I looked at things and started to talk to people, especially in Orange County, right, about the things that I thought were ill or foul or wrong. It was always religion coming back at me, and I just needed to find some like-minded people.
Right.
Before I lost my mind.
and so I left Orange County.
That's right, yeah. So I moved to San Diego. Actually, I'm still, there's a great Orange County atheist group, the Backyard Skeptics. Thank you to Bruce Gleason, who's really doing a lot with that. But I living down here in San Diego, I found a lot of the groups down here, the San Diego New Atheists and Agnostics, the Humanist Fellowship of San Diego, all under this umbrella group, the San Diego Coalition of Reason. If any of you don't know out there, you're living in America, look for United Core. There's hopefully there's an umbrella group under United Core in your area. Meetup.com is a great place. If you want to have that community, the camaraderie, even the holding hands and not necessarily chanting, but singing, dancing, there's probably that in your community, even in Texas. But especially in the most religious areas, seem to have the strongest. You know, you're 100, how many people?
121.
Your 121 people are probably all very active and excited. Our 2,000 plus, like 100 of them are active, maybe. Yeah, about that. Yeah, about 150 of them are active. So
I'd say maybe I'll have to ask Angel, because I say I've been away for a couple of months, but I would say maybe 25 to 30 are active.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of constant. It's sort of 15%.
It's great though that it's grown the way that it has. It's very important that it's grown at all. And that people at least are starting to find out that there is a place that they can go, even in El Paso, Texas. And have a like-minded community.
Right. It's difficult with our community. I mean, you know, most people don't know or don't care what humanism is. Most people don't know or don't have the energy for scientific skepticism. Most people are still confused within our community what atheism is, what agnosticism is. They think it's two separate answers to the same exact question, where it's different answers to completely different questions. One is knowledge, one is belief. They're entirely different. And the worst part is, by our very nature, we're just not followers. The joke that we always tell is we're all individuals.
I'm not.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to get us together, and some people are focused on activism, political activism, social activism. Some are focused on education, lectures, debates, and a lot of us are just focused on going on a hike or getting a beer with like-minded people.
Right.
And that's where a lot of that community comes in, especially with us in America and in the more religious areas. We just need to be able to find some other people where we don't have to pray over our meal at the very least.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Where we just don't have to curtail our language, or we can speak honestly or openly or intellectually about certain things. That may have been rude to that last word to a lot of religious people, but the fact remains the same. You can't be so honest and open around most communities in our country.
That is true.
Good for you for
Thank you.
everything you've done in the short time that you've made that conversion. And
Well, thank you.
such an interesting story to hear about how it came from a political standpoint. It's a little scary because when politics has gotten so religious that people are actually turning against religion because of politics, that's very scary.
That's a good
to me.
sign of how much religion has infiltrated our political system.
And how important it is to
notice it.
Well, thank you. And I agree, of course, absolutely, that the death throes are what I think that religion's always been in our politics. It's always been there, but it wasn't questioned, and now it is being questioned.
Right.
And that's why they're getting on the offensive right now.
Yeah.
It was just assumed that nobody drank, that people were opposed to drinking on Sunday, so a lot of states did not prohibited liquor sales on Sunday, and now that's being lifted. Those are just small things, but we're seeing that the religious hold on politics is they're losing their grip, and they don't like it. They're very upset.
Yeah.
And so I have a fear that it's going to get worse before it gets better. So just for everybody out there, be active in your atheism, or be active in politics. Get out there and vote. Don't use that cop-out excuse that, well, they're both parties suck or whatever. Maybe both parties do, but find the one that sucks the least.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Or at least speak out about everything that's wrong with either one of them.
Yeah, get out there and
But obviously, mostly the Republican one.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to make any political, commentaries except that the GOP sucks. But
It's all right. It's just a YouTube channel. It's not-
I know.
We're not a
Alex,
nonprofit.
Thanks so much for everything you've done.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to your
Thank you, Alex.
comrades
Thank you.
back
It's been
in
great.
El
Appreciate
Paso.
it. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching another episode of the Maboom Show. And we also want to give a shout out to the Freedom from Religion Foundation, which
Yes.
netted another one. Thanks, guys.
By the way, I am a member. I did join right away, and I'm
Beautiful.
going into my 3rd year of membership. In fact, I have to re-up it this month.
Beautiful. We
Congrats.
encourage everybody to do that. The FFRF does tremendous work for this country.
They
So
do. And
thanks again for
American
watching.
atheists, too.
Yeah.
Indeed.
See you next
Cheers.
time.